everyone, Renee here. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be reacting to 1-star reviews of my favorite books. So I recently saw Haley from Pages of Haley do this and it looked so fun. I had to do it for myself. To be honest, I feel like this is the type of video that could make someone angry to film because it is very hard to listen to negative criticism of your favorite books, but me personally, I think it's going to be really funny. And that's why I really wanted to do it because I don't know, I know that not everyone is going to have the same opinion as me or like the same things that I do, and that's fine. So I'm just so intrigued to see the opposite opinions of me. And I do think that I'll get some laughs out of this. So yeah, I'm just gonna be picking 4 or 5 of my favorite books and we're just gonna be going through the 1-star reviews on Goodreads and see what everybody has to say about my favorite books. Okay, so I figured we're just gonna start with Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. I absolutely love this book. So Strange the Dreamer overall has a 4.26 rating on Goodreads, which is pretty good. So we're just gonna filter this. Am I dumb? Oh, I am a little dumb, it's fine. Right off the bat, it just wasn't my cup of tea. And that's fair. You know, I think it definitely is an acquired book. Please note that I DNF'd this book at 5%. 5%. I agree with DNFing. I support DNFing. DNF it if you're not having a good time. But 5%? Would you read 15 pages? Sorry, not sorry. I'm just not going to force myself to read something I'm not enjoying. Fair. But 5%? Wow. Honestly, if I gave myself to 5% for a lot of books, I would DNF most of the books that I read. DNF at 20%? Damn. Okay, this person says, is this book poorly written? No. So why do I still not like it? I had to sit with my thoughts for a bit to determine the final answer, and it's simple. This book is boring. You know, I also understand that. I can totally understand why people would find this book boring. To be honest, I completely get that. If your argument is that this book is boring, like, I don't think you're wrong. But I found it amazing, spectacular, stunning, immaculate, everything. So I'm just gonna DNF this book because I put it down a while ago because I didn't like it at all, and I know I'm not gonna pick it back up. I'm still counting this towards my reading challenge for 2019 because I read a lot of it. Okay, boo. Fair enough. So I've noticed a lot of these 1-stars are DNFs, and people DNF it really early. Another DNF at 20%. Ugh. No one in this book is having a good time, least of all the reader. You know, I have to disagree. I think that Laszlo was having a good time when he first got to weep. You know, when he first got to go, I think he was having a good time. I will disagree with you there. First half was great when everything was a mystery. As soon as the super predictable plot started and that god-awful romance, the book lost me. I like the romance. I liked it. Was it living if it was a dream? This was easily one of the most boring books I have read this year. I was trying to describe whether I should give it 1 or 2 stars, but no, it's a 1-star for me. Sorry, I tried though. Fair enough. Oh, it keeps going. I had so many issues with this novel, and next to these, I cannot name a single thing that I would have liked. I didn't like any of the characters either. My biggest problem though is that I could probably summarize the whole story in 2 sentences, so why the 500 pages? And not only that, nothing actually happened, but the characters were also boring as hell. Sarai, so pure, so innocent, she literally tormented hundreds of people almost their whole life. Because why? There was no reason. I feel like this person maybe didn't absorb the book. Which I can also understand, because there's a lot of, like, word dump, there's a lot of pretty prose, and I just feel like there's a lot of description in this book, but I definitely feel like everything happened for a reason. So I don't know, maybe I interpreted it differently. Who knows? I did it! I'm done! I've never been so relieved to finish a book in my life! Never again! Let it out. Let it out. This person said not my jam. I don't know, I love that. I love that saying. DNF at 45%, DNF. So my takeaway from the 1-star reviews of Strange the Dreamer is that people who rated it 1 star either didn't finish it or they did push themselves to finish it and absolutely hated it with a burning passion. I've noticed a lot of people just said they found it boring and pointless. And I think that's fair. I don't agree, but we can agree to disagree because I understand why they would think that. Okay, so moving on, I think we're gonna move on to The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. This was my first 5-star read of 2021 and I cried. And the amount of love that I have for this book is unmatched. So let's just see. Right off the bat. Calling all demons, attention all ghouls, witches, wizards, etc. Let's make a deal. According to this book, you're making bargains with any bozo who sputters her way into 17th century French bodies of water, and I went in on the opportunity. Yes, you read that correctly. Our protagonist, Addie LaRue, is a complete bozo. She is the most irritating, stupid idiot alive. I want to throttle her. Huh. This person says, it took her 10 years to learn writing and reading. 10 damn years. She knew the basic letters, so how? But hey, she's super genius, mind you. She speaks Swiss. Even Swiss people don't speak the non-existent language. But Addie, acts nonchalant, speaks Latin, German, English, French, Swiss, Italian, etc. And then she excerpts a clip from the book. Honestly, this pisses me off. It's very American self-centered. Barely know about the outside world, but hey, let's throw names around. Swiss? Am I stupid? Am I American self-centered? Hold on. Swiss. Oh! So Swiss isn't even a language. How American self-centered of me to not know that. But it's like Swiss German. So 4 national languages of Switzerland: German, French, Italian, and Romanish. Romach. No, just no. Did we all read the same book? Like, seriously, I want to know how these major discrepancies are possible. Let's get this straight. This book deserves nothing of its hype. It's bland, it's boring, it's repetitive, it's stupid, it's hollow and pointless, and fuck it, I'll rate this 1 star. Get it out, sis. You get it out. First, let's look at the plot first, then, shall we? So much potential. So much potential. 300 years of history and a protagonist who can neither die nor is remembered by anyone. Would have made for an amazing spy story, in my opinion. A spy story? No, I wouldn't have read it. I really don't think I would have. Was this book well written? No. Did I still enjoy it anyway? Also no. I think that this book was incredibly well written. I think V.E. Schwab is an amazing person with her words, even though I guess apparently she slipped in a non-existent language. I just learned that. See, who knew that Goodreads reviews could be educational? Unless that was common knowledge and I'm just a little bit dense, which is also true. I said, fuck it, this book was trash, worst thing I've ever read. There was zero plot, zero character development, plus the characters were all so boring and 2D. I mean, all any of them did was complain and complain and complain. Like, just shut up and do something if you're unhappy. First off, if you're unhappy, you can't just flip a switch and make things happy. It's not how happiness works. But honestly, I felt like, I mean, yeah, there was a lot of complaining, but there was a lot of shitty situations going on in the book. And I felt like due to those situations, there was a lot of real life stuff that was talked about, and there were so many quotable moments, just quotes about life and love, and just, it's beautiful. I personally found it beautiful. Y'all can complain all you want about your past, but it was beautiful. Beautiful. That's another one about no plot. I have read several reviews now complaining about how this book has no plot, and I just want to preface this, if you haven't read Addie LaRue, before you go into it, just don't go into it. Before you go into it, just go into it knowing that it is a very character-driven book. Way more character-driven than plot-driven. So don't go into it expecting the super elaborate plot, because to be honest, it's not much of an elaborate plot, no. But It is so beautifully character driven, and I don't usually like books like that, but I loved it. I loved Addie, even if people found her to be a whiny bitch. I liked her. All right? I get it. Addie Larue has 7 freckles. I'm reminded of it every other page. I get it. Okay, I mean, they did mention that a lot. They did mention that a lot. I'm not gonna lie. But I kind of like that metaphor and how it was like constellations of stars. Beautiful. Immaculate. Loved it. Okay, let's move on to The Cruel Prince. I feel like this is gonna have a lot of negative reviews. I mean, it has a 4.10 on Goodreads, but I feel like a lot of people either like really love or really hate this book. I happen to really love it. So let's look at reviews by people who really hate it. Oh my god, there's so many 1 stars. Okay. 384 pages, 0 substance. Unless you call pages littered with problematic shit substance. I don't get it. I mean, I can see why people thought that there was problematic stuff. I mean, I understand that the relationship between Jude and Carden was a little bit toxic, but honestly, I thought this was one of my favorite enemies to lovers books ever. Like, literal knife to the throat, enemies to lovers. Love it. I absolutely cannot believe I wasted time out of my freaking life to read this book. It was a book. It literally is. It is a book. It literally is a book. It's got pages, a cover, a dust jacket, words. It's a book. First of all, the writing is horrendous. It's the worst case of tell, not show I've ever seen. Twilight has better writing. Twilight was better written than this. You take that back right now. You take that back right now. Sis really did not say that. All right. I've been reading this book since last year. I kept putting it down because I got bored while reading it. The story wasn't interesting enough. I literally had to force myself to finish it. I know a lot of people liked it, but I just couldn't. This was really bad in my opinion. All right. Thanks to this book, my useless ass has something to add to my resume. I finished The Cruel Prince even though I was bored to death. And really hope that whoever my future boss is, they're geeky enough to know how difficult it is to finish a boring book, because honestly, I think this is the only thing I'm good at. Wasting time on trashy books. But you did it. 1 star, DNF, 65%, I guess. Simply a no from me. This book has no story, no world building, no twists, no shit, no nothing. Honey, did you read it? Like, honestly, when I was reading The Cruel Prince, I had so many visuals. I mean, and I liked that it wasn't like complete world dump world building, but there was world building. There was a story. Oh. Well, considering twists usually happen at the end of a book, but you only read 65% of the book, which means you didn't make it to the end, which means naturally you wouldn't have read any twist. Because there was one at the end, you just missed it. I want this book to come to life so I can punch it in the face. It is terrible. No need to get violent, all right? No need to bring violence into this. Please don't bother reading this if you loved this book and would be insulted or offended by anyone writing in 3,000 words why it was horrible. 3,000 words? Honestly, you lost me there. I'm not gonna read 3,000 words. Oh my god, I opened it and I shouldn't have. Okay, so this was an edit from January 2nd of 2020. I still hate it. And then the edit. I honestly do not understand people's love for this. Every character is a jerk. Ha 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 ha. Nope. No. Nuh-uh. So my takeaway from The Cruel Prince is that a lot of people have a lot of anger towards this book. They thought it was substanceless, they thought that the characters were awful, and that the relationship was toxic. And that's fair, you know, everyone's entitled to their opinion. We're just gonna do one last one, and we're gonna do my most recent favorite that I can add to my shelf, and that is Daisy Jones and the Six. And Daisy Jones and the Six has a 4.20 rating on Goodreads. So, the quote, passion is, it's fire. Fire's great, man, but we're made of water. Water is how we keep living. Water is what we need to survive. Ah, I love it. I would rather read Twilight or a Colleen Hoover book, but then I remember they're just as bad. LOL. All the hype for this was so boring, I didn't even finish it. Yikes. You'd rather read Twilight than this? Sis! Honestly, I don't get annoyed by bad reviews, but this is the second review that has compared one of my favorite books to Twilight, or said Twilight was better, and I'm just like, what? Predictably boring with flat, interchangeable characters. Do yourself a favor and watch Almost Famous instead. I don't think these characters were flat, to be honest. There was a lot of interesting things about these characters. I loved them so much. 1.5 stars. I'm sorry. I know most people loved this book. If you haven't read it yet, but you want to, you'll probably love it too. Please bear with me and this long, somewhat scathing review. I'm not going to read her review fully because I don't like long reviews, but I think it was nice that she said if you haven't read it, you'll probably like it. That's such a civil review. Come on. What a bunch of self-indulgent, rambling, obnoxious drivel. Maybe if this was... What does drivel mean? Hold on. My American self-centeredness is coming out again. I don't know what a drivel means. Oh, nonsense. Drivel. Where does drivel come from? I've never heard anyone use the term drivel. Is it British? Interview format gets tedious. While I did enjoy the parts with Daisy at the beginning, I was absolutely bored by the 6. Interesting. See, I was worried that I would feel the same way too about the interview style, but I loved it. I think it's because I listened to it. I listened to it on audiobook and it was incredible. And I also really enjoyed the 6 because when I first went into Daisy Jones and the 6, I thought that they were all together automatically. I didn't realize that Daisy Jones and the 6 were like separate. So I still liked the parts with the 6. Started it, couldn't get past the first few chapters. Not for me. Fair enough. DNFing this book because I just can't. I listened to exactly 3 hours of the audiobook and my brain hurts. What is the purpose of this story? I cannot seem to pinpoint anything other than the shitty side of rock and roll life. I mean, there it is. It's about a rock band in the 70s. That's the purpose. You were reading the purpose. You were reading it. DNFing after 50%. I think if I hadn't have listened to this, I'd have DNF'd it earlier. This is just boring. A bunch of vanilla stock figures recounting their wild rock days through the 2019 PC moral lens. I feel like that's his way of saying this sounds like a washed up band's interview. Which, I mean, I guess it is. DNF at 48%. I really love music and this could be a very good book about a 70s band, but this book was very boring. There's that word again. Boring. Do I read boring books? I feel like I'd almost rather someone say that like the book was like cliche, cheesy, stupid, but like everyone just says that they're boring. I disagree. I don't know, maybe I'm a sucker for subliminal meanings or pretty writing or quotable books. I understand the author's perspective, and I think it's hard to write about bands in the 70s because it's all the same. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I didn't like Daisy at all. Neither did I like any band member. I think this book will be very likable for younger people with less knowledge of music. Anyway, give it a try. Alright, whatever you say. Utter trash. I mean trash with a great title, ace cover, and good concept. But trash all the same. Here it is again! What do we do? What do we call this drivel? Can I call this drivel or just cheesy, faux edgy? Drivel. There's that word again. I've never heard anyone say that in my life. I guess my takeaway for Daisy Jones and the 6 is that people didn't like the interview format. People thought it was predictable, boring, unoriginal. And they hated Daisy. I saw a bunch of people say they hated Daisy, but I like Daisy. I did. So... Wow, I guess, I don't know, it is so interesting to see other people's perspectives of things that you genuinely love and hold dear to you. It's just kind of humbling and surreal almost just to see and fully absorb the fact that people had all these other opinions, and I'm just like, wow, really? Alright, so now that you know those are some of my all-time favorite books, do you think those books are boring? Would you consider my taste in books boring? Because now I'm having a bit of a crisis. The fact that everyone thought that they were boring. But regardless, I stand by my love for those books. I think they're amazing. And to everyone's comments that I read, if you somehow stumble upon this video, no hard feelings. And I hope you don't have any hard feelings for me if I laughed at your review. I just had a fun time. And like I said in the beginning, everybody is entitled to their own opinions. And I think that's what makes everything so fun and interesting in terms of just having discussion. You know, I like hearing other people's opinions. I like seeing different perspectives of things. So that was just so fun. I literally had so much fun just now filming that. But for now, that's pretty much all that there is to it for this video. If you like this video, please feel free to hit the like button down below to support this channel, and also hit the subscribe button to follow me on my reading journey. And as always, my socials will be linked down below for you to follow me more closely. Other places like Twitter, Instagram, Goodreads, the works. And once again, I hope you like this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!